right. So welcome everyone. We're so happy you're here. And again, we appreciate you spending time after your busy days with us tonight. Um, and we hope that you're joining us with a shared passion for children and the importance of their connection with nature, which is why we're here tonight. So I'm going to introduce our team. Let Stephanie in. Welcome. So, my name is Sarah Gosney, and I'm joining you from Lafayette, Colorado. And my two wonderful teammates are Christina Chin, and she's in San Francisco, and Shelby Miskimmons, and she's in Casper, Wyoming. And we are graduate students in the Innovative Online Master's Program in partnership with CU Denver and the Boulder Journey School, which is here in Boulder, near me in Boulder, Colorado. And we are, a week and a half away from graduating, which is very exciting. But our final project for this last semester is a group project where Christina and Shelby and I journeyed down the road of advocacy together with a shared passion for children and nature, and our belief that children have a right to be in nature. And this culminated ultimately in this presentation because we're eager to connect with as many educators, because we're all educators, and connect to as many people as possible to start a conversation about how we can all be advocates together. All right. So we're going to cover a few important things. The benefits of nature for children, and then stewardship, and bringing nature inside. And then we're going to leave you with a fun little challenge where you're going to go out in nature and share with us your experience, how you felt about it. And Shelby will tell you more about that later. And then we'll have a chunk of time at the end if you have any questions and want to discuss further. So does anyone have any questions or comments yet before we get started? Is Rosalinda? Okay, great. So Journal of Pediatric Study found this information. On weekdays, the average preschooler spends more than 4 hours a day in front of a screen, which is incredible. And some of the issues with children spending less time outdoors and more time indoors. Again, they're spending a lot more time on screens than in previous generations, certainly from it's different from my generation. And less time outdoors directly means an increase in health problems with children. We've seen higher rates of obesity, diabetes, vision problems, vitamin D deficiency is a big one, ADHD, and childhood depression. And another issue is children just having less available safe space, green spaces and play spaces near their homes that's easily accessible. And also not everyone may understand all the wonderful benefits of children being in nature. So I thought we would start out. We were thinking about, we want to ask you, just quick, you can throw it in the chat or unmute. What feelings are generated when you see this little guy jumping in a puddle? All right, joy, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. This is, yeah, he's cute, Luna. This little guy is in my program. I'm a childcare provider and teacher in a very small program with 6 kiddos, and this guy loves puddles. Excitement, experiment. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Freedom. Fun. Yeah, I know. Right. So many benefits, right? I mean, so much positivity coming from this little guy jumping in a puddle. Discovery. Yeah, I wonder what he's discovering. I wonder what he's thinking right now. Yeah. Okay. Great. All right. So the benefits. There's so many benefits of children being outdoors and in nature. So Richard Louv, Last Child in the Woods, wonderful book. I found this quote. So time in nature is not leisure time. It's an essential investment in our children's health and also by way in our own. So lots and lots of health benefits. Just being exposed to dirt and pollen in the environment, it grows stronger immune systems for children and for adults as well. Bodies in motion are just more flexible and healthy and fit. Again, connecting back to, obesity, that definitely connects to that. Improved motor skills, body coordination, relaxation and reduction of stress is a big one. Kiddos they're very jumpy, excitable, and they've got wiggles and they need to get them out. And just being able to do that in a space where they're allowed to do that, as opposed to inside, is so important for them. Being outdoors helps produce, again, vitamin D that we talked about, really important for strong bones and immune systems. And research suggests that vitamin D is linked with, deficiency is linked with depression. Right. And lots of developmental benefits too. So being outdoors, improve cognitive functioning and concentration, and open-ended, unstructured play supports social skills. The kids are playing together, lots of opportunities to share and collaborate and resolve conflicts. Sensory experiences, that's the big one. So that's supporting so many things, including brain development, memory, and problem-solving skills. And learning opportunities. Just one example, the first big one that came to mind was learning about plants and animals. What do animals eat? How do plants grow? And a big one for me is children understanding where their food comes from. I've had a few experiences having conversations with the children in my program in the past where, we talk about, well, where does your food come from? Where did your carrot come from? And they might say, well, the store. So they have a different concept, unless they've had that experience with being exposed to plants or gardening. They have a different idea of where their food comes from. Exposure to diversity. Children leave their familiar surroundings, their four walls, to encounter the diversity of nature, the unexpectedness of nature. And being outdoors, and this sort of segues into our next section about stewardship. Being out in the world, in nature, connects children to community. It connects them. They leave their familiar surroundings and they connect to their local community and then further out into the world. Okay. Does anyone have any questions or comments before I pass this over to Christina? Okay. Oop, I'm sorry. There we go. All right, Christina, ready for you here.
Sorry. And sorry, can you go to the next slide, Sarah?
Absolutely. Okay.
Thank you. Stewardship with nature. According to Chapman and al., an environmental steward, the responsible use and protection of the natural environment through conservation and sustainable practices to enhance ecosystems, resilience, and human well-being. And I will talk about a little bit more about this in the next slide. And here's a quote that I actually wanted to share with you guys. Why is it important for children to start to connect and build a relationship with nature? Why is it important they become stewards of nature? This quote by Robin Wall Kimmerer, the author of Braiding Sweetgrass, resonated with me a lot, and I believe it shares the reason why. She shared, knowing that you love the earth changes you, activates you to defend and protect and celebrate. But when you feel the earth loves you in return, that feeling transforms the relationship from a one-way street into a sacred bond. This quote says a lot and expresses the connection human beings can create with nature and how this connection will support human beings in wanting to care and protect nature. Human beings want to protect what they love and are connected with. I personally have always cared about nature, and when I started working at a part-time nature preschool 2 years ago, my connection and bond increased a lot because I spent a lot more time in nature with the children. I have learned so much about the trees, the creatures, and the surrounding areas of my preschool, and this has supported my interest in the need for children to connect and have access to nature. This is what motivated me to learn more about how I can help children in my class connect and become stewards. This has also supported me in wanting all children to have access to nature. I also I added a drawing by one of the 4-year-olds in my class that he drew it last week, and this is a picture of him hugging a tree. Why is supporting children to be stewards of nature so important? Young children spending time in nature supports them in thinking about their surroundings and view of how the world is shaped. The time spent in nature supports the children in building a relationship with their surroundings and feeling their relationship come to life. As the relationship builds, they want to care for it as it is an important part of their life, and they are learning the interdependency between nature and people. There is only one earth, and it is important for this generation and the next generation, the children, to care about and love nature. When human beings bond with nature, they are more willing to care for their surroundings. There is only one earth, and we need to take care of it. And I just shared a few pictures from my school. Unfortunately, I can't share pictures with their faces in it. So I've picked a few of kind of with that I feel share a lot. So in the top picture, it's there, due to all the rainstorms in San Francisco, there have been a lot of fallen trees in the Presidio. So we've taken the children to see some of them. And this is one, they're looking at the roots from the fallen tree. And in the middle picture, they're doing some organizing of leaves by shade. So like the red leaves and the green leaves and the yellow leaves. And the bottom picture is one of our rainy walks where they discovered so many worms crawling around on the ground, and probably each worm we stopped for a few minutes so they could watch it crawl across. And they needed to make sure that, you know, they told each other not to step on it so that it could make it safely to where its destination. And they talked about like where they thought the worm was going and how, and that they hoped it would get there safely. They begin to speak about nature, showing concern for what nature holds, showing and they're developing empathy for people and their environment. We learn by being in the natural world and connecting with nature, not simply learning facts from a book or computer. Young children want to be able to use their senses to explore. This is a time for children to learn to use their body, mind, and emotions to connect to the surroundings and community through stewardship. How can we support children to be stewards of nature? Spending time in nature can look different depending on where you live and the location of your center. It is easy enough to say my school is not located near nature or policies prohibit us from going on walks. Please note nature can look differently depending where you are and you don't need to be taking a walk in the forest or visiting a river or stream. Nature can be as observing insects on a tree, on a sidewalk, or a patch of grass in the playground. Although there are lots of trees around my school, there are also sidewalks. As we are taking walks, we look on the cement grounds for insects. Usually the children find roly-polies, worms, and sometimes even banana slugs. I will share a little bit about how we support children in developing their stewardship at my center. So in my school, my class goes on walks twice a week. So when we reach our destination, we have what we call a reflection circle. So we have the children close their eyes, take a few deep breaths, and listen to their surroundings. We've been challenging the kids to turn off their voices, kind of just listen. We started off at about 5 to 10 seconds, and we slowly built up. Now they can usually sit for about 20 to 30 seconds. Their age is 3 to 4, and sit there and listen. Each child is offered an opportunity to share their notice and wonders with their peers and teachers. In the beginning, the children often start off with simple notices, like the grass is green, to I notice the tree is different here. It's leaning and smaller. It's like a cave. The trees at the woodline are bigger. This reflection circle has them really look and focus on different aspects of nature. Also in bringing nature, and Shelby will talk a little bit more about it in a few minutes, about bringing nature into the classroom or creating a garden that the children can help care for. While in nature, it is also important to discuss how their actions can affect their environment. This should start off in terms that children can understand. For example, what happens if you pick the leaves or flowers off the plants, or if you break the branches? How if they do not pick up their trash, animals can eat it and become sick? As the children's connection with nature grows, they begin to understand how they help and care for nature, developing their stewardship. On one of the walks, one of the children shared, I am a nature protector. Sorry, Sarah, can you go back one slide? Thank you.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
I'm actually trying to do that, so it's going ahead. So let me apologize.
No
There
worries.
we go. Okay. Technical difficulties here. All right. All right.
Thank you. No problem. And then, so I just wanted to also share some quotes from some of the children in my class. So on one of our walks last week, one of the children said, I'm a nature protector. When asked how she is a nature protector, she shared her thoughts. Also at a grounding circle, we asked the other children, how are they nature protectors? Here are a few of the responses. I help nature grow. I help trees and plants grow, and I love to see them. I help plants by keeping them safe and fresh and keeping them green. I keep everything safe and water them and look at them. I care, and I don't step on the plants or pick leaves. I make sure plants are growing and not picking the plants so they grow. I clean up my stack and put in the compost. Another child said, I let plants grow and make sure they have enough water to keep them green and sparkling. And the child kind of got this. We had previously read a book entitled We Are Water Protectors. So she kind of took that in as she is a nature protector. Children's books are also another wonderful way to introduce how they can take part in caring for nature. And I will hand it over to Shelby, who will go into how you guys can bring nature inside.
All right, so as you guys can tell, children are naturally curious about nature, so we just wanted to suggest a few ways that we can engage children in nature in all settings. So here you can see that they're inside, but they're engaging with nature using some tools provided in the classroom. And then we can go to the next slide. So here, I just want to talk about, there's a few reasons why we would need to be inside. There's some safety concerns, whether it's extreme temperatures or there's a threat outside, air quality, too many children in a shared space, which is something I personally run into a lot. We have one outdoor area for preschool through fifth graders. Um, we want to make sure that in those times we're still offering children authentic, natural experiences so they can continue to build on their learning. They naturally ask questions. This can look like the pictures here. We have offered like animal track fact books, sticks, rocks, and wooden loose parts, and left it open-ended. That's a mixture of classroom materials and natural materials so they can build off of each other. What I often do when I'm bringing nature inside is to offer a space for them to observe it and record their discussion so that I can offer like tools. First in the pictures on the right, they were looking at just the flowers. And then through their discussions, I learned that they wanted to pull them apart and they couldn't do it with their fingers. And they wanted to get a closer look. So we added tweezers and magnifying glasses. So bringing nature inside, I think often can be intimidating, but if you just listen to the children, they usually tell you what they want to do. Go to the next slide. Um, Another thing that's important to remember when you bring nature inside is to connect it to their context. So in some of these pictures, you can see like the top right one is pumpkins. So that was in the falls. They were noticing pumpkins around their area. And there's also a book to connect it to. Like Christina said, books are a good way to get them thinking about nature. And then the top left picture, that child helped grow that food that he was exploring. And as you can see, he was pretty excited about it. Some other ideas is just like if it's too cold outside, you can bring snow inside. The bottom right picture is a child engaging with mud and a carving tool. So really kids, they want to engage with nature. They want to learn more about it. You just got to bring it inside for them in different ways. So this was something that happened last week in my classroom, and it was something that emerged authentically from the children and was really born out of the actual problem that I'm facing right now, which we get 15 minutes outside a day, and because of the shared space issue. So the children were asking a lot of questions about spring. They were noticing worms. And so before we actually brought the worms inside, we talked about how we could keep them safe in our classroom, what they would need, all of the things the children mapped that out and told us that we would need dirt and we would need to be careful with all of them. And this exploration alone met I listed some standards on the slide from the Wyoming early learning standards that it met. And so bringing nature inside can also coincide with your curriculum, as long as you just like I did the worm exploration and then I pulled my learning standards out and connected all of the different ones that we could use. And there's just a couple quotes that were fun from the kiddos that showed that they were working on their language and their empathy. So that was a fun time. Another thing that we want you guys to be thinking about tonight is that when we're talking about going outside and engaging in nature, we can really take the time that we're given as a recess and make it a time for learning. As long as they're engaging with natural things, they will be learning. Some of these images just got me thinking about how children can engage in nature. I feel like they speak for themselves on that. This last slide, I just wanted to leave you guys with the thought about how children engage in nature and how we can view them as learning in nature rather than just getting a break out there. So the top two pictures, the child on the left is planting seeds in the garden. And then he took care of that garden over the summer, watched it grow. and then they harvested it and provided snack for their peers. And the kiddo on the right is cutting vegetables from that same garden. And then the bottom one was something that was born in the classroom, and then we took outside to have the children engage with the outdoor space, but also what they were interested in. This particular group was really interested in football. So inside, they created a playbook, and then actually, the child on the right in the bottom picture created a playbook, and then he wanted to invite his friends to use the playbook to play a game of football outside. So I took the learning that was happening inside and just brought it outside. So they're looking at the playbook, getting ready to play football outside. So engaging in nature can look a whole lot of different ways. And it's very powerful. What you can learn from it. All right, so we wanted to leave you guys with a challenge, and it's really important for Christina, Sarah, and I to get a little bit of feedback from this advocacy project for our grade, so no pressure to respond, but please respond. We invite you to go outside for 20 minutes uninterrupted. If you have children, bring your children. If you don't, just go to your favorite spot. The challenge is to go 5 minutes away from your home, whether that's walking or driving, it doesn't matter. And then if you can take a second really quick to go to our Facebook group and join that, and then share your reflections back. And we just have some questions here. Did you have safe access to nature less than 5 minutes from your home? What challenge did you face getting to nature? And how did you feel after that time? And then any other comments would be helpful. Feel free to also add any images if that's, I know that being uninterrupted might mean being off of your phone. So if you don't have any images, that's fine. But if you do, that's also helpful. Yeah, so that's our challenge to you. So we wanted to, Sarah, did you want to talk on this one?
Yes, I do. And I'm also
Okay.
going to go back. I'm going to go back a screen. I'm having some issues going back. My apologies. Okay.
Really quick before you start, Sarah, sorry, I forgot. For those of you in Wyoming, if you want or need STARS credit, I believe Christina added a link to that in the chat. If you click on that and fill that out really quick.
All right. Thank you. Yes, and then Christina also added in the chat a direct link to the Facebook group, so you can just click on that and join. So we also wanted to leave you with a little with some information about, advocacy. Like, how can you, whether you're experienced or not with advocacy or advocating for this topic, how can you get started? A few things are: encourage other teachers and school administrators and principals to include more unstructured outdoor time. As Shelby shared in her program, for scheduling reasons, children are only able to, in her program, only able to have 15 minutes of time, which is so little. Advocate you can also advocate at your school district level, county level, state level, and national level too. And that will all sort of differ where you're located. My intention is to put some information about how to contact local policymakers in my area on the Facebook page. And I encourage you, if you join our Facebook page, maybe find out where you can advocate as well, and share that out, because some of us might be in a similar area. Work together to educate others about the benefits of nature and outdoor access for all, and especially children. And most importantly, model this for the children, lead by example, share your love and connection to nature by engaging with it regularly with them. And your interest and curiosity for the outdoors will spark the same in the kids around you. And we have just a few resources here to sort of, a lot of these are more, well, there's San Francisco, that's local, that's wonderful. These are just a few ways you can kind of learn about more ways to advocate. We will be sharing this on the Facebook page too, so you can have links for that. And then, all right, I think we've reached the end. And I'll leave this up here too. And you're welcome to get in touch with us individually too, but through the Facebook group is wonderful. So I'll leave that up. Do we
Sorry.
have questions?
Sorry,
Yeah.
Sarah, you're not sharing your screen anymore.
I'm not sharing the screen anymore. Oh gosh. I'm so sorry. I'm not sure what happened. All right. Let's try that again. Thank you for letting me know. All right. All right, I can go back. All right. And then here are our resources for learning more. And again, we will post that in the Facebook group. And then this, you're welcome to reach out to us individually as well. But we welcome any questions or comments. We definitely welcome you to, post any comments or questions too, and just be part of our community on the Facebook group as well. All right. Oh, yes. Liz.
Yes, I have a
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
Very interesting. I found this really fascinating, and you guys came up with some really good illustrations of how to get outside, as well as some great facts about why you want to get kids outside. I think you guys are setting the groundwork for very eco-friendly, kids, and hopefully they grow up maintaining those beliefs. I was wondering if in the process of doing this project, if any of you were able to get you to increase your outdoor time or your outdoor exploration, or add any, additional features to it, just because you realize how important it is.
Yeah. Well, I will share that I realized how important being in nature is for me for stress reduction. Being in finals and being in school and, working, I work full time as well, as, we probably all do. It's especially finishing up this particular project. I was very much, towards the end in tune with, I need to go outside right now. I have a hammock. So this past week I've been going out a little bit every night and just trying to relax, and it's done wonders for me. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I work at a part-time nature preschool, so we do spend a substantial amount of time outside. But I think through this course and kind of just through my research, it kind of made me reflect on the children's experiences differently. Like, I always knew nature was important, but just kind of how seeing their growth, because I was fortunate enough to work with them last year and this year, to just see their growth from being like 2 to 3 year olds to being 3 to 4 year olds.
Okay, so Patricia in the chat is asking, any ideas on how to get parents on board? We have multiple parents who want their kids to go outside, but don't want them to get dirty at all. Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder, I would love to have a conversation about that. I have don't currently now, but in the past, I have had some family members in my program who, didn't want their children to get muddy, and also didn't want them to go out in the snow, for example, even if, of course, we want to keep the kids safe and um, won't take them out if it's too cold, but and make sure they're dressed properly. But I have had a few examples of families saying, I just don't want you to take my child outside today. And I have kind of gently had conversations with those families and sent them pictures of how much fun their child was having outside, and assured them that they would be well covered with really warm clothing, and kind of negotiated it that way. But that's definitely, I think, something that comes up for sure.
Something that I found very powerful with families is sharing the resources that we have. Obviously, with parents, you want to I've always found it better to give shorter amounts of information because parents are busy and they don't want to sit down and read a book on why it's important. But finding powerful examples and just starting that conversation with them of the benefits directly related to their child. That was another idea we had with the challenge of getting you guys to go outside, is to show you guys the power of 20 minutes in nature, and maybe putting that back on the parents. Say, go spend 20 minutes outside with or without your children and see how you feel after. And 95% of the time, people tend to feel better. So just finding ways to show them the benefits. Another little thing I've done in the past is like gotten extra clothes for them to get messy and outside, and then changing them back into their family's clothes. But I understand the financial piece of that can get pretty straining. So
Agreed. I would agree with Shelby. So something I do as well is I I go to the thrift store on the weekend, which I like to do anyway, and I will, get a lot of clothing for children if there's some parents who, maybe don't bring a snowsuit or something like that. And that will, also affect, my experience has shown that it'll affect whether the child enjoys the experience of sitting in the snow, for example, or having boots to stomp around in the mud. Some children are sensitive to that. So I've done that as well, Shelby, where I'll change them into the clothes I have and then change that back in to sort of just make sure that experience for them outdoors is pleasurable. And so they keep that, going through life. That's important.
Christina, I was curious, when you showed the picture of the children just observing the worms crawling across the sidewalk. We are where we're at. We're fortunate enough that we have lots of bugs outside. We find worms all over the place and roly-polies, and something our children really like to do. I mean, they love the bugs. They're so excited about the bugs, but they want to collect them, and put them in cups, and they really want to like make a new home for them in a cup, but really it kind of just turns into like this mass murder of roly-polies and worms that happens. So I was just kind of curious how you can facilitate that, just like observance of the bugs and not wanting to kind of take them from the environment that they are in.
Yeah, so usually for the most part, we kind of go with the kind of leave nature where it's at, so that they aren't picking up kind of all the bugs they see. And usually on walks, it's a little bit easier to kind of, we're gonna watch the worm with our eyes. We're gonna, leave the roly-poly there. So that kind of has been working for my group. I know that some of the like younger classes, like if they find one like in our yard, it's a little bit harder. Kids will like pick it up, but we are working with them on like how they can hold them or how to be gentle with them. And so, yeah, for the most part, we kind of have I don't want to say rule, but of like leaving insects, where we found them.
I would add to that too. I work with right now infants and toddlers, and we had a we had a lot of rain a couple days ago, and so now we just my yard is full of worms and centipedes, and so we have a rule right now. It's one finger, so we can, gently touch the buggy with one finger, depending on what it is. If it's delicate, then we say it might hurt their bodies, but we generally have, like, you may touch it with one finger, and the kids are so intuitive, they kind of understand that that will keep the bug safe. Patricia says, I've told kids that the bugs will miss their mommies and daddies, so we need to leave them outside. I think I said something like that today. That was something like that roly-poly wants to go home to his family. So, and then they sort of understood that. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Agreements. Sure. Instead of a rule. Exactly. Yes. It's agreements and conversation. Right. Exactly. To be respectful. Okay. We have any other questions or comments? Oh my gosh. That was wonderful. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. And definitely, if you could please join us in that challenge, that would be great, and share that out to us. We appreciate the feedback, and we want to see what you all did in your time outside and how you felt about it. And thank you for joining us. Thank you. Thanks. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you for
It was
coming.
awesome.
Thank you.
Really enjoyed it.